morning. Welcome to Morning Momentum. I want to turn our attention to the famous Sermon on the Mount that Jesus taught his disciples. And in this particular passage, he told them, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they will be filled," or they will be satisfied. Matthew 5, verse 6. Thirst. Thirst is one of the most powerful symbols in all of Scripture. Most of us don't know what it means to really physically be hungry or thirsty. We think hunger is that feeling we get because we had to skip breakfast running late in the morning to get to work. Or thirst when the waiter is a little bit slow refilling our glass at the restaurant. But we don't know what it means to be without food or drink for days on end, to long for just one sip of water. But in a spiritual sense, that was the kind of hunger and thirst that Jesus was referring to. The words he uses are the strongest that can be employed to describe hunger and thirst. When we are hungry and thirsty in the way that Jesus describes, it changes our perspective. In 1996, there was a young Marine corporal by the name of Joey Mora, and he was standing on the platform of an aircraft carrier which was patrolling the Iranian Sea. Incredibly, he fell overboard. His absence wasn't even known for 36 hours. When they became aware of it, they sent a search and rescue mission out to find him, but they gave that up after another 24 hours. Nobody could survive in the sea without even a life jacket after 60 hours. His parents were notified that he was missing and presumed dead. The rest of the story is one of those "the truth is stranger than fiction" events. Script writers would pass up on it as not being believable. But 4 Pakistani fishermen found Joey Mora about 72 hours after he had fallen from the aircraft carrier. He was treading water in his sleep, clinging to a makeshift flotation device that he had made from his trousers, a skill that is learned in most military survival training. He was delirious when they pulled him into their fishing boat. His tongue was dry and cracked, his throat was parched. Just about 2 years later, as he spoke with Stone Phillips of NBC Dateline, he recounted an unbelievable story of the will to live and survive, who would not give up. He said it was God who kept him struggling to survive. His discovery by the fishermen makes searching for a needle in a haystack a piece of cake. The most excruciating thing of all, Joey said that the one thought that took over his body and pounded in his brain was water. In the physical sense, thirst is an awareness that God placed within our bodies to ensure that we maintain the proper levels of hydration necessary for our bodies to function. However, there is a second definition of the word thirst that we would find in the dictionary, and this moves beyond liquid consumption, and this definition is burning desire. The truth is that greatness will never be achieved by casual drinkers, by those that are just taking a drink to fill a passing minute. But we would find that when we would begin to investigate those that have accomplished greatness in any facet of life, we would find the common thread of thirst. In athletics, Michael Jordan was driven by an insatiable desire after being cut from his high school basketball team. In business, businessman Richard Branson, whose net worth today is well over $5 billion, started his first business venture at the age of 16. Physician by the name of Julian Simmons has dedicated his life to finding a cure for RSV after watching his elderly father suffer from its effect. And the list could go on. Great things are achieved by those who don't just possess desire, they are possessed by desire. Leaders that thirst for understanding and insight in order to move those that they lead as well as themselves to the next level. Parents with a burning desire to ensure that their children are given every opportunity to succeed in life. The spouse that is consumed with a passion to move their marital relationship from being mundane to being magnificent. You see, greatness is accomplished by those that thirst. So, get thirsty. Greatness will never be accomplished by those that simply sip socially, satisfied with status quo. I want to share a few final remarks with you concerning thirst, but I want to ask you at the conclusion of these remarks, I want everyone that will to type into the comments below What is a thirst in your life? And what led you to that thirst? Maybe you're like the physician who thirsts to find a cure so that others won't suffer as his father did. Or maybe you struggled with poverty as a child or growing up, and now you thirst to ensure that your children have a better life than you did. But whatever it is, I'm asking you to type that in the comments below. Now, for just a few final remarks, as I stated earlier in my opening remarks, Jesus proclaimed to the crowd that was gathered around him, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness." So what does Jesus mean by righteousness? Well, the word he uses here can have a couple of meanings. The first definition for this word, righteousness, would be what we would call right living, or simply living right. The second, and I think really the primary meaning of what Jesus meant when he talked about thirsting after righteousness, is this meaning that we so desperately need something. And that is the Greek word for righteousness that Jesus uses here has to do more than just doing the right thing, but rather emphasizes having a right relationship. We are to intensely long after right relationship with him. Jesus doesn't just want right living, he desires right relationship. He went on to state that those that hunger and thirst after this right relationship with him, not only will they be blessed, but they will be satisfied. Another way that we could state this would be to say that they will be so absolutely filled that they would say, "I can't eat another bite," or "I couldn't drink another drop." With all of the pursuits and desires that we thirst after in this life, don't allow your time with Jesus to be just duty or obligation. In fact, if you're anywhere near Living Hope Church, located at 21650 Chances Run Road in Great Mills, Maryland, I would love to have you join me as my guest this Sunday. I can assure you that this coming Sunday we will gather together not out of religious duty or obligation, but we are a group of people that recognize our deep down thirst of our soul, and that there is nothing else that can satisfy but to be in relationship with Jesus Christ. Our service begins at 11 o'clock a.m. If you're not close enough to be able to join us in person, but you would still like to participate in the service, we invite you to join us on our live stream. Presently, we're still working through the proper mixing for our audio for the music, but we would love to have you join us for the preaching on Sunday. Our stream begins around noon. We come on with the preaching, and you can find us on Facebook at Living Hope MD, MD as in Maryland. And if you will join us, we would love to have you. So my challenge to you today is be thirsty. All right, great things are accomplished by those that are thirsty. Don't forget to comment in the comments below.